Hello, everyone. It's episode 88 of the Fitness Business Growth Podcast. I'm here with Mitch, but I'm also here with Lily and Sparkles. So this is Lily. Lily,
First time they've made an appearance.
first time on the podcast. We've got Sparkles down here, her more in shape, better looking, cuter sister.
She's
So
in good shape, looking lean.
lean, 14 years old. So they may bark throughout the podcast, but if they do, well, they will. Can't help
We'll
it.
just talk over them.
Talk over them. So today's podcast, mate, is one that I'm looking forward to. I think we made a similar podcast in the past, but over the last 12 months, we've picked up quite a number of viewers. And this podcast is going to be a trip down memory lane. And what I want the listeners to get out of this podcast is just how much your life can change with 18 months of hard work, dedication, and focus. So what we're talking about is our first location in Kurri Kurri from July 2015 until the end of 2016 when we got that commercial building. Went from 0 to 509 members. Now, obviously, some of the things we were doing then maybe don't work as well in 2024, but the principle
25.
remains 25. The principle remains the same. Like, we just kept the main thing, and got fucking memberships.
Crazy. That's like 10 years ago now.
10 years. Yeah.
But
So that means, how old were you?
25.
Yes, I'd have been 26. So, bit of recap. Mitch and I spent a few years in Canada between 2012, 2014. We came back. We worked for a bunch of Anytime Fitnesses together. Somehow, by miracle, we ended up at Anytime Fitness Kurri Kurri. We had started a 10-week bootcamp outdoors as a side hustle, as a bit of a hobby. And right before the 10 weeks launched, we got fired.
Ooh, that one hurt.
So what happened?
Oh, a new owner took over who wasn't a very big fan of us. And we thought we were going to keep our job as general manager and head PT. We kind of shared the role of both. And then after a few conversations, it was pretty obvious that we weren't going to be on. We weren't going to be kept on.
And at the end of the day, we just have different values around training. So he loves bodybuilding. He loved everything that was the exact opposite of what our boot camp stood for. So in hindsight, I understand.
He spent hundreds of thousands of dollars and he wanted to have his own staff in there.
Absolutely.
Whatever.
Yep.
But we had a bit of a crossroads there where, because at that point the boot camp was still very new. It was, as you said, just a bit of a side thing in addition to our PT and the wage that we had from Anytime, and we had to either go get some sort of job or chase go down a different avenue, or put all of our eggs in the boot camp basket.
I think we missed a crucial step to this story. We almost bought that Anytime Fitness Kurri Kurri. So I'll never forget it. We had the paperwork drawn up. We had the deposit. We were going to the conveyancer. And you said these words as we were driving to Cessnock.
I can't remember this.
You said, Jamie, do we really need all that equipment and the commercial space to get a direct debit?
Can't remember that.
Because every PT on earth effectively wants a direct debit. So they're paid regardless of sessions they commit. And driving towards Cessnock, paperwork in our hands, you ask that question. I thought, you know what? We fucking don't.
And we didn't need it.
And that's where a lot of our belief comes. Like, you don't need equipment. You don't need a fancy building. You need nothing. You need a park, a community hall, a little bit of sales skills, a little bit of marketing skills.
Because at that point, we were in the park and we also had a Girl Guide hall. So we had a couple of different locations, but they were just paying like per 10-week block effectively. And then we thought, hang on, could we just get people on a membership? Could they pay a recurring amount? Could it be a 12-month membership and they get access to these sessions the same way that they would at a gym? But instead of having to spend tens of thousands of dollars on that and a lease and everything that goes with it, could we just do it with the same setup we had?
Yeah, so we had one 10-week boot camp, July 2015. We had a 2-week break. We did another 10-week boot camp. We added 2 Arvo sessions. We only had mornings and Arvos. Mornings were in a park. Arvos were in the Girl Guide hall.
Busy in the Arvo.
And then we went from like 30 members to 50 people in that challenge. And at the end of that challenge, we had a massive Christmas party at the Chelly. Many, many, many parties happened there moving forward.
Yeah.
And at that night, we announced that we're going to run sessions mid-morning also, and we're going to create this new membership. And it was a 12-month membership, and we were off and away.
And then the start of the following year, I remember we did like a big, I guess it was open day where we signed up a lot of people officially to that. But the real growth started to happen about 3 months after that.
Yeah.
When we moved from outdoors and moved
sorry,
to
mate, I
the
should
hall.
cut you off there. We're missing vital steps here. So the first 10-week challenge, we raised money for a family. So it was like a 10-week charity boot camp.
Mhm.
Second 10-week was another 10-week charity boot camp for another family in Kurri Kurri.
Yep.
And I just want to like drive the point home of just like the day that we got fired, how fucking all in we actually were. Like we were doing fucking everything, like every Saturday morning, every Sunday, every event, like posting 10 times a day, like, comment, share, tag, giveaways, left, right, and center. We truly left no stone unturned. And the topic of this podcast is you can change your life in 18 months. We fucking gave it our all. Like it was our blood, sweat, and tears. It's all we fucking did.
Well, until that point, like we were spreading ourselves a bit thin. We had the stuff in the gym, we had personal training clients, we had the boot camp, and we were making good money at that point in our life, like enough for us to,
Yeah.
we were living cheap, living together.
Rent was $360,
Yeah.
$180 each.
Yeah, cheap.
House was pretty dirty.
We were saving a heap of money, and we were it was just us two working there. There was no other team members, no other staff. So we were really lapping it up. And then when it got to that point where we no longer had that opportunity and we either had to pursue something else or go all in on that, that's when we decided pretty quickly. I remember, like, it wasn't really much of a choice. We kind of just said, well, here we are. Like, this has already got 30 people. Let's just keep doing it. And we did. And at that point, we really, really sunk our teeth in. We increased the amount of sessions we had. We got more people in. And everything kind of flowed on from there.
And this was bootstrap. We had a few kettlebells. We had a jump rope. We had one of those shitty ladders that people use. Next to nothing. And I wish you could see the state of this fucking Girl Guide hall. Like it wasn't a big hall. It wasn't an impressive hall.
It was exactly what you think a Girl Guide hall would look like 10 years ago.
Yeah, there was a kitchen. We had people doing squats in the kitchen.
Yeah, for the training purist, it certainly wasn't ideal.
Yeah.
But we didn't need that.
Of beginners and over 40s and over 50s, it all came from like when we got fired from Anytime Fitness Kurri Kurri, the new owner was, and by the way, I talked to this new owner today, like we're good, but our values were completely different on what we thought people wanted to do with training wise. And we were the exact fucking opposite. We were like, hey, never trained before, knee injury, back injury, hip injury, hand injury, elbow injury. Can I bring my dog along? Can I bring my kids? How old can you start? Fuck 6, I don't care. Like we took everyone in Kurri Kurri and we just created a really special place where everyone fit in, where everyone came, everyone had fun, and people lost weight and people got results. But at the end of the day, they were just there for a laugh.
And I think now, like that, 10 years on, that is so much more common. Like so many of the owners we work with now, like they say, oh, we're not a gym. Like we have everyday people and it's fun and it's friendly and it's this and that. But 10 years ago, there wasn't really anything like that.
You know what makes me laugh? Just like at that point in time, people thought personal trainers were really serious, chicken and broccoli. And then these two party boys came to town.
Yeah. And that's like so much more normalized now. I think we were before our time. There wasn't really, I mean, social media didn't really exist then. There wasn't really any group training facilities. There wasn't many independents or anything. So we really just came in and we had this unique spin of what the training was and who, we were the anti-gym space.
The ultimate anti-gym.
And in the area that we were in Kurri, there was only a few other options. So the stars did align.
Yeah, timing,
it certainly was like there was Anytime Fitness, there was one other gym and maybe like one other personal trainer who had a boot camp we had a few run-ins with.
Hated this.
Yeah. But outside of that, there was nothing else compared to today. Like Kurri itself, even that has more competition now, but most other places have dozens of other competitors. But we were in a space and there was an opportunity, and like I said, we had that anti-gym model, which is so commonplace now, but back then it wasn't. It was very unique.
And we just, one thing that we did really well from the first 10-week challenge to the next 10-week challenge to adding more sessions to different events, different charities, different Christmas parties, we had fucking 10 pre-sales. We always tell our clients, hey, like any reason you can do a pre-sale, you buy a new rowing machine.
We had something to market. And we changed locations, which we'll get into here shortly, like a few times. And each time that was when we really saw such a huge
Yeah.
bump every time we changed.
So first 10 weeks was in a park. Next 10 weeks was in the same park, split between the Girl Guide Hall. Then we were only in the Girl Guide Hall, early mornings, mid-mornings, and afternoons. And then one of your first ever PT clients, thank you, Brad, legend, he owned a mechanic shop in Kurri Kurri, and he had a garage behind his mechanic. And I always fucking joke about it with the gym. I was like, hey, like, you don't understand like what our first location was like. It was down a fucking dirt road behind a mechanic, and it was.
And Brad, he messaged me a few years ago. Maybe I should reach out. But not only was it a mechanic, he had a what would you even call it?
He used
amusement
to
park.
He used to rent out amusement equipment.
Yeah, so like he had this big crew and
I
all
think
these
the
trucks.
disrespectful term is he was a carny.
Yeah, and he actually called himself a carny. But they would have Dodgem cars and Ferris, or maybe not Ferris, but Dodgem cars and blow up things and all sorts of carnival shit that they would like drive around the state for like school
Easter
events.
show.
East like not that. It was more like the independent stuff. So it was a very weird space where it was like a mechanic at the front. There was all this amusement high gear everywhere, and then there was a boot camp in the spare garage out the back. So the members would walk on through, past the mechanic, hey guys, and then past the Dodgem cars, and then walk into the dusty shed.
Yeah. And the shed kicked off in April 2016.
Yeah.
And it got, again, another pre-sale, like join now, come on down. And at that point, we used to just say DM for more information, come down, they do a first session, and then we'd sign them straight into a membership 12 months on the spot. We had a table at the end of the...
They do their trial session. They do a session.
Yeah.
And then we just
like, I'll talk to you.
Yeah. How do you like that? Good. I'll go into the pricing with you.
Yeah. And we priced our service very poorly. Our contract and non-contract was only $2 apart. It was stupid.
Still, most people chose 12 months. But I remember the numbers on it. So we got to about 100 in that April. So we went from 60 at the start of the year when we moved into the hall to 100 in April, and they were all paying roughly $20 each. So we had $2,000 in our debit. The rent was...
We were still doing some PTs then too.
Yeah, some PT. The rent was fuck all. We had obviously no equipment costs. A couple of kettlebells that we bought.
Yeah.
And then...
We had those... I fucking hate those mats, those foam roll-up mats from Kmart that get ratty. Plenty of them lying around.
Used them for a decade.
Yeah.
But it was around that point where the money that we were making was pretty much the same as what we made in the gym like 6 months earlier.
I think we were making like $2,000 a week each, direct debit combined with PT that we were doing.
Yeah. And that was probably somewhat similar to what we're earning in the gym. So we're like, this is great. Like we're doing this ourselves. We don't have a boss. We're not reliant on anything else. This was just us. And then that was the start of that 9-month period.
Yeah.
In the shed.
And then the true unlock was, so we were living together at the time. We'd go home, we'd jump on YouTube, looking up like Alex Hermosi then, very early days. We're looking up Bedros Keuilian.
I don't think Alex really existed then.
I must have saw his big mustache somewhere, I think.
Yeah, I think that was a bit later.
I think it was Bedros Keuilian, sorry.
Definitely was.
And Bedros Keuilian pioneered a 21-day challenge for $21. Now, keep in mind, it's 2016. It's a small town. There's no competition. The anti-gym, down the dirt road, behind the mechanic, 21 days for $21. We launched that fucking ad and just message after message after message after message after message. Went from 100 members to 220 in like the space of a month. They come down to the shed. We collect their $21 in cash. We'd go spend it at the Belmore.
we had a lot of $21 lying around. A lot of $1 coins.
And then we rolled everyone straight into membership. Hey, just so you know, membership will continue day 22 and beyond. Let us know if you don't want to continue. It's the exact same thing we do now. And it just went fucking ballistic. Like I can't even describe just how many. We used to just joke about, we literally turn the ad on and then just start getting messages.
I wish we still had access to that data just to see what our...
That's it, right up. Get the message.
They wouldn't have been leads, right? We weren't doing lead form. It was cost per message.
It wasn't even that. It was
Boost Post, right?
Boost Post. It was posting it on the actual page, Boost Post, DM for more information.
Yeah, we would have just had to have manually worked out how much we spent and how many got signed up.
Yeah, it would
have been less than $21 to acquire a client.
Yeah. So that was like mid-May,
that was June.
Mid-June. And then towards the end of that, we were really cooking. We had 200 people. And this is the days where like organic reach was huge. So we'd post, hey, Leanne lost 10 kilos. There was 100 likes, 20 comments. So this was just going around and round and round in the town. And then we had this massive shed party. So one thing we did do was we had lots of events, and we've learned a lesson, but lots of party events, and it was just piss up after piss up after piss up.
Every few months.
And it was interesting because all the members that we had were like mums and people that wouldn't like training, and people that I would say that felt like they were outsiders. And they joined our program and they finally found other people like them, and they would just kick off in their shed.
Yeah, well, especially back then when the perception of a gym was strict dieting. It was people who don't have fun. It was trainers who yell at you, and it's so far from the truth. Maybe it was a little bit more true then, but certainly not now. But back then, it was such an alternate way to run a fitness business, and combined with it being a small town and not many other options, it just really clicked with so many people. And we were the absolute talk of the town for months and months and months. And we used to joke about comparing our pricing, which was cheap for group fitness, like 20 to 25 bucks a week. But there was a gym up the road, which was 10 bucks a week, and they had group fitness. And they would have been scratching their noodles, just thinking, but why are they joining there where they can join this 24/7 gym? Like they get group, they have group fitness here, and we just outmarketed them. And then we had fun. The sessions always ran. Like we've always done that. Well, we never would call off sessions. They were fun sessions. We'd play games within the session, so it was a little bit more involved, interactive. And then
in July we had another 21-day challenge.
September,
sorry,
yeah.
No, and that took us to 280 members.
Yeah,
and just again down the dirt road behind the mechanic, 280 fucking members in a shed, all on 12-month memberships, and we probably had less than $1,000 worth of equipment. It was truly, truly life-changing.
Rent was $150 a week.
And we were running all the sessions. Like we were splitting mornings, afternoons. I think we were even still doing some PT in there. We had some OG clients. And I remember I was in Thailand with Ellen, and I remember you sent me the Debit Success payout, and it was our first payout over $6,000, and we both made over $3K that week. And like, just to put it in perspective of just like, we got fired. Like we thought we had to get a job. And then 9 months later, we'd like, at that point, the age that we were, 25, 26, life-changing money. Like our rent was 180, we owned our cars, and we just fucking banked it. And the following year, you bought your house and I bought my house. Like we really turned it around in 12 months.
Yeah. And it just, I think it was just such a bittersweet moment because we were so, I guess, down about when we did get let go 9 months earlier, and just to get to that point where we were making that much money and had such a good business. We had so many like good clients. We had all these social events, like attendance was great. Well, everything.
We were having the time of our life. Like we were going out heaps, we were having fun, we were rocking up, we were doing sessions.
And we still were only running like half a block of sessions each. So like one of us would do mornings, other ones would do afternoons. Our fingers almost fell off from all the DMing that we had to do, but we only had a couple of hours of sessions each a day. And then we're just living a great life.
Yeah.
And it was, looking back, like we still refer to this period as probably the most important, like in our lives, in terms of we went from pretty much zero.
Yeah.
We had some savings after we got let go.
And you had met Kate like a few months before I started, and I had met Ellen 4 months after we started. So like we had both just got serious partners, and the business was a fucking rocket ship.
And looking back, it gave us a house deposit for the houses that we still live in now. And we look back at, the housing market then and the housing market now. And if we hadn't have been in that position, we have, friends and people we know that are in the market now or have just bought houses and paid twice the price what we paid, was that 7 or 8 years ago?
Yeah.
And it all just came back to that 12 to 18 months of business, which really allowed us to get ahead.
And we just kept the main thing. Every single week, we were looking for another reason to promote, another reason to do a pre-sale. So we either had a challenge coming up, we moved location twice, or we had an event coming up. We were raising money for charity. One thing I always talk about, and I'm really fucking proud of it, we'll be proud to the day I die, We raised 66K for families in Newcastle. I think it's a great idea. I think if you own a fitness business and you don't do it, I think you're stupid. Like period, point blank. Like you always talk, oh, my community is great. My community is this. Okay, well, like put them to good work. So we raised like so much money in that 2-year period because probably out of that 66K, probably 30 of it came in 2 years from Kurri Kurri.
Yeah,
They were
the bulk of it.
a small town. They were unbelievable at getting behind these events.
Yeah, that was a big. I guess that was just cherry on top.
Yeah.
You know, for people who are part of it, they're like, "Oh, that's great. We got this and that. And it's easy going, and we do functions, and they raise money for."
There was like
charity.
one lady in Coco, her house got burnt down, or
remember that?
Yeah. And within like 24 hours, we'd raised $2,000 for her. And then we made like checks, like Cessnock advertised, and Maitland Mercury, search Jamie, Mitch, boot camp. Our names would be there for all the events that we.
And there was a few times, and we won't mention names, but where we actually raised money for members, who had some health things, or their family members had health things. So that was always very rewarding to know that we could make a little bit of a difference.
So we thought we were happy. September came. I'm the ultimate optimist. You're the ultimate realist. And at this point, I thought, mate, we're down the dirt road behind the mechanic. We've got 280 members. We're making $3,500 a week each by that point with PT and the direct debit. Like, let's go get a commercial space. And there was this big building in the middle of Kurri Kurri. Have you ever been to Kurri Kurri? It's almost impossible to not drive past this building. Almost impossible to not drive down the main road in Kurri Kurri. And this was the first lesson we got in business. We went up to the building. It wasn't being managed by real estate. It was being managed by this old Greek man. And he had a price on the building. It's like $1,000 a week rent. We said, this is our price. His English wasn't great. And he's like, fuck off. Like, fuck off. Like, get out of here.
You need warehouse.
You need warehouse.
There you go. We disrespected him.
We did disrespect him, I guess.
And we had like I can't remember the terms that we had. It was like a 3-year one and a 5-year one.
Yeah, and we gave him
I think we lowballed him pretty bad. And
we didn't know.
And he just he was not happy with that. So I
went back a week later with my tail between my legs.
Very quickly came back because it was a great building. We wanted it,
mate. Like we're fucking serious about this. Like we've got the money.
Yeah, let's work out something. Yeah. And then we ended up negotiating a deal, and he was happy, and he never apologized for telling us to fuck off. Probably didn't deserve an apology. And then we ended up getting the terms we wanted, 3 years, and it was that November, end of October, that we announced that we're going to be launching in the new year. Yeah. And this is the biggest pre-sale of all time took place over that 10-week period.
And this was 280 to 509, what I always talk about.
Pretty much,
230 people. But it was actually way more than that because we didn't account for the 150 cancellations we had in that period.
Yeah, so I remember working it out after the fact. So we got to like 509 in April, I remember. Yep. So it was about 3 months after we opened. But we had signed up 330 people in 6 months. Yeah. But we had 280 prior. So we had 100 cancellations in that period as well. We were just signing them up quicker than we could know.
But there was a huge roadblock here. There's a huge roadblock. The fucking council. So we were...
What council, we said?
Yeah. I was 26, you were 25. I'm pretty passionate, but pretty demanding sometimes. And one of my good friends at the time and a PT client said, hey, Jamie, like, he was a business owner. He said, have you got like a DA?
What's that?
I'm like, what do you mean a DA? He's like, well, like, yeah, like if you go in there and it's not the right zoning, indoor sport and recreation, then they can kick you out. And I thought, fuck, like, well, I don't know what that is. Like, do we have to get it? And then we ended up going to the council and we gave them the worst DA proposal ever. It was like an A4 piece of paper. Like, we won't burn the building down. And he's like, what's this? And then we had to pay a DA application fee. We had to get an audio engineer. We had to get a parking inspector and then the fire safety guy. He fucking had it in for us. And we had this sliding door at the front and it was 14 newtons of force. 14, it scarred me. So it was like 14 newtons of force or more. You can't have a sliding door because it's too hard to get out if there's a fire. So we had to install a door that was 86 centimeters wide to account for a wheelchair.
You really remember these numbers?
That was push-pull, and it cost us like $25,000. It was outrageous because you had to get Spitfires put in too. It was fucking outrageous. And one of my other good friends, Tom, you might remember this. So Tom Shepard came to the building.
Yeah.
So my friend Tom's in fire safety.
Mm.
Said, mate, is this guy fucking jerking me off? And he said, yeah, he is. He said, you don't need to do downstairs. You don't need Spitfires here, there. And the council guy came out and he said, you need this, this, this. And I went, no, I fucking don't. Like, it's less than 25 minutes from the front to the back. We need one right there. He's like, okay. And we were pushing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
And time was running out.
Time was running out to the point that, like, we would not be able to open. And at this point, we had signed 330 fucking people to start January 1st. Payments were coming out. And I was ropeable.
And then we wouldn't have got it through. Like,
No.
they weren't playing ball.
Yeah. And at this point, it was the biggest thing to ever hit Kurri Kurri. We had raised so much money for the town, and I was going to hire a bus. I was getting a bus, getting my 10 favourite mums at 9:30 over to Cessnock Council.
Because we had everything set up. That's where we were signing up people.
Yeah.
And if you remember, which maybe you don't, so remember the whole fire safety thing? That was a terrible summer of fires. So we were like that November and December. I remember like every second day was 40. There was fires like in Kurri, and it was like, oh shit. So it's probably why there was maybe.
And do you remember how we got it through?
Yep.
So the minister for Cessnock, I'm not sure if it's the minister or the
member of parliament.
Member of parliament for Cessnock. He actually came to one of our trivia nights that we ran because we raised money for a family friend of him. And I called and said, hey, like, we're really struggling with this. Like, can you please help us get this through? Like, it has to open on this date. Otherwise, it's just not going to happen. And then he called me back half hour later and said, hey, mate, it's done. And then I was even fucking more angry because the council were jerking us around. And I knew there was that bureaucracy, red tape fucking bullshit. Oh, it was like the most stressful 2 months of our life because we were still charging on with the pre-sale and they might not be able to open. And just
like that.
It
was anger and relief because then we're off.
Yeah.
And that was kind of at the 13th hour.
This was like between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, or maybe just before Christmas, maybe. I remember it was cutting it pretty fine. And then it was whatever the first Monday of the new year was, we were off.
Yeah.
Debits, because that's when debit started. We were signing up people at November to December, and first payment will come out 4th of January or whatever it was.
And in that first week of January when the debits dropped, we made over 4,000 a week each. And again, like 18 months
probably
can change.
More.
Yeah, probably more.
But our rent was high.
Yeah.
Higher. We paid it.
I remember towards the end of April, we were both making $5,000 a week each. And at that point, that's when like you went out and got your Triton. I went and got a car. We bought our houses, and like it's a great story. Like it's my favorite 18 months of our lives.
We were still living like 18-year-old bachelors until that point, and we had 100 grand saved more.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a treat yourself moment. Bought a car, like had our deposit on the house. But I guess just getting back to the original point, because that kind of is when it, and obviously the rest of the story we told, and we'll tell it again another day. But that from July 2015 to January 2017, that 18 months, we went from, so we were Anytime Fitness employees then, and we just had the little boot camp. Like we hadn't even run a session there, and when we I think we had 15 members like for that first one. To 18 months later, having 500-ish, and having all these members were on direct debit contracts. We had a building, we had money saved, we had enough money for house deposit, which is still the houses we're in now.
Yeah,
and we effectively went from zero to that.
Yeah, it truly set us up for life, and that money that we saved and that building and success gave us the confidence to open up 2 and 3. And that's when we hired Ryan. It's when we hired Brody. It's when we hired Steve. And I'm proud to say that Kurri location is still there today. Our good friend Ryan has it, called RJ's Boot Camp. It is still there today. In fact, I went there yesterday for a workout. And whenever I go through Kurri, I actually just drive around the town and just think about the Chelly or the parties, the Girl Guide Hall. We ran sessions at the church next to it. We met Barbara at the school doing outreach there.
Yeah. And the actual location that Ryan runs now isn't the one that we ran. The one up on the main street is now a bottle shop.
And Ryan Wilcox said it's a very, very successful,
very profitable, maybe more profitable than us. And we used to joke about it because it's Cessnock Council. Apparently, it has like the most amount of drinking establishments like in like the whole of New South Wales or something like that. And we said, if we ever move on from here, it'll probably end up a pub or a bottle-o, and it actually
did.
Actually did.
But in that time period, like I guess the big lessons were like we went all in. We found a reason to promote every single week. We were doing tons of paid marketing, but we're also doing a lot of local area marketing, getting out in the community, running events. I was going to the barber, getting him to raise money for the charity. Then Rod joined. Like we were doing everything. We were outreach at the school. We were paying for stands there. Like we truly left no stone unturned. And all we did for that period was like we would run sessions, we'd get members, we didn't have any friends in Curry either because we just moved there. So we made friends with the members, and then we go out with the members, and it was just rinse and repeat.
And what we talk a lot about now is focus and distractions and discipline. And without knowing it, we were very, very disciplined then. We didn't have anything that really distracted us business-wise, and we were focused. It was just, let's just keep growing this direct debit. And I guess the distractions, which were good ones, was next locations. We moved from the park to the hall, from the hall to the shed to the building. And then I guess later on we got a bit distracted with opening all different ones. Whether or not that was good or not, who knows? But for that period, we were hyper focused.
Yeah.
And we lived together for all of that. I think you moved out a few months after that. So I remember it, like Friday nights, we'd be there messaging back people, and like we'd be watching TV. Hey, I'm replying to Sally.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm responding to Sarah.
It was a great year for basketball too, mate. We're watching Cavs game in the days.
But I remember we were there, and like I say, I'm responding to Sarah. If you want to get Sally, just like inquiries that came through, or booking appointments, and we just that was all we did.
And 12 months after that, we had 3 locations, and we got to over 900 members. And that's a story for another day, but it was just more of the same.
Yeah. So I guess why we wanted to tell people is...
I'll just jump in here. I want you to realize that we had like I had never had money in my life. Like we came back from Canada. We were both really broke. We were scrambling to different any times, had an okay PT business, got fired, back to scrambling again, still like worried about what's going to happen. And then from that to 18 months later, like I was making $5,000 a week, and like, what does a 26-year-old do with $5,000 a week living with his best friend in a share house?
Yeah, I mean, in hindsight, we did very well to just save so much, and then really helped us get ahead. And like I said before, like we still talk about it, that we bought our houses at probably half the price that they're worth now, and it was such a huge turning point for us, and so much of, I guess, the gratitude we have comes back to just that period of time, which is why we wanted to discuss it now. And for anyone who's listening, maybe you've had something similar to this, but probably the main point is, if you've got something that is working, you just need to double down, triple down, quadruple down on it. And that's what we did. Yeah. And we made mistakes.
We didn't have one 21-day challenge. We had 6.
We made other mistakes with other aspects with retention and pricing and things, but we always kept direct debit, new members, the main thing. And it really allowed us to learn so much for what we did in future years and for what we do now with owners. But it just really set a platform for us for the rest of our lives, which we'll always be grateful for.
Yeah. And then we've had a similar period again. Like we started the FBC. It was a bit of a hobby. And I remember, like it was yesterday, I was driving down to see my good friend Elliot. I pitched him on the idea. He said it was terrible. It was like, hey, mate, like we're marketing for lots of these gyms, but like a lot of them are complaining that leads aren't picking up the phone. And there was one client in particular. We got him 200 leads. I said, how many of those leads do you think we'd convert if me and you were doing those leads? Oh, like 40? I said, yeah, and if we charged 28 days, like what would... He said, yeah, like... And then we launched ads for Done For You, and it took off. And it's been a similar thing again, where like every minute, from the minute I wake up to the minute I go to bed, we're talking about how can we improve that service. And it was the same thing back then in Curry. Like we were truly like 100% all in.
And I think we've learned a lot in the last 9 or 10 years. So the mistakes we made early on, we're not making now.
No.
With the way we handle, it's a different business, but it's still the same. It's still the same. We acquire clients. We onboard them, we service them, we try to keep them, happy. It's the same as everything. Obviously, it's a different delivery mechanism, but we're still in that we're in that patch where we're still growing. We're still trying to make everything better, and it's without really any exaggeration. Like it takes up just about all of our bandwidth. We don't live with each other anymore, but we're on the phone more than anyone would ever know. I've started a family. Jamie's starting a family soon.
Parenting classes tomorrow.
Yeah, that'd be fun. So it's just a different part of our life, but we wouldn't be doing this now if it wasn't for that 18-month period. Like because we might have got a job selling fucking insurance or like working for Optus or something.
Yeah.
So we owe a lot to that time.
And just for anyone out there, like if you're not where you want to be right now and you've just started something and it's working, you're passionate about it, you're enthusiastic, you love it, just go all in. And just if it's working, keep doing it and double down on it, triple down on it and quadruple down on it. And what's interesting, mate, is a lot of the stuff we were doing then in 2016 without knowing it is actually the thing you should be doing now, still to this day. Finding different reasons to have a sale, running events to get referrals, only focusing on the direct debit members. Like in terms of the acquisition, we were always fucking great at it. Delivery,
paid ads.
Paid ads, delivery, retention, left to be desired. But just we always kept that the main thing.
Yeah, it was a great time. Glad it's nice talking about it. Brought back some good memories.
It did. One thing we left out, mate, super important to the story. So Kurri Kurri is the coal mining town of coal mining towns. 95% of men coal miners there.
A lot, yeah.
So we had every wife in town come to our boot camp, and the entire town thought we were gay. The entire town thought we were sleeping together.
We were living together.
Yeah, and it actually helped us because, like, let's get behind these gay. Let's get behind this gay couple in town.
Yeah, because I think like we say, me and my partner Jamie, my business partner, life partner, nah. Yeah. We didn't do that intentionally, but maybe later on we kind of didn't.
Bit of a joke.
Didn't specify it. That probably helped. Maybe we wouldn't have quite got to 509 without it.
Yeah, I think it did. But just like to summarize, just like change our life forever. We'd have to have one hell of a business over the next 18 months to ever get past what that did for us in terms of like, because like just quality of life from earning 2,000 to like having consistent like $5,000 weeks is
and it gave us just the confidence because that was like our first real business. Like we had the PT business, before, but we were out on our own, and like every week we only got what we caught.
Debit Success came in on Wednesdays at 4 p.m.
Yeah, and it gave us the confidence that we could have a business and that we had confidence in ourselves and each other. So looking back, it really did pave the way for this, which and again, we'll be forever grateful for.
So guys, I hope that's somewhat inspiring, somewhat helpful.
Somewhat funny.
More about our story in general, but just commit to the next 18 months and you can do it. Thanks for watching, guys.
Thanks, guys.